The fundamental principles. The U.S. Constitution is built upon several fundamental principles that guide its structure and operation. A. Limited government. The Constitution establishes limits on the powers of government. It ensures that government's authority is restricted to specific areas and actions, safeguarding individual liberties. B. Republicanism. The United States is not a direct democracy, but a republic. This means we elect representatives to make decisions on our behalf, allowing for efficient governance across a large and diverse nation. C. Federalism. As we discussed earlier, federalism divides powers between a central government and individual states. This system prevents concentration of power and allows states to address local issues. 2. Goals outlined in the preamble. The preamble of the Constitution lays out the goals and aspirations of the new government. Let's break down its components. A. Form a more perfect union. The framers sought to establish a stronger and more unified nation than the loosely connected states under the Articles of Confederation. B. Establish justice. This goal reflects the desire for a fair legal system that upholds the rights of individuals and ensures equality under the law. C. Ensure domestic tranquility. The government should maintain peace and order within the country, preventing internal conflicts. D. Provide for the common defense. The government is responsible for protecting the nation from external threats and ensuring national security. E. Promote the general welfare. This emphasizes the government's role in fostering the well-being of its citizens through policies that address economic, social, and public health needs. F. Secure the blessings of liberty. Preserving individual rights and freedoms is a cornerstone of the Constitution. The framers aimed to protect the liberties won through the Revolutionary War. 3. The elastic clause and flexibility. The Constitution's flexibility is demonstrated by the necessary and proper clause, also known as the elastic clause. This grants Congress the authority to make laws necessary and proper to carry out its powers. This clause allows the government to adapt to new circumstances without requiring constant constitutional amendments. 4. Balancing principles and goals. Balancing these principles and goals is a complex task. For instance, ensuring domestic tranquility may require limiting certain individual rights in cases of national security. Striking the right balance between states' autonomy and federal authority is an ongoing challenge. V. Conclusion. Understanding the key principles and goals of the U.S. Constitution is crucial for comprehending the framework of our government. The principles of limited government, republicanism, and federalism work in harmony to guide the government's actions and protect citizens' rights. In our next lecture, we'll dive deeper into the structure of the Constitution and the roles of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. Thank you for your engagement, and I look forward to our continued exploration of the U.S. government's foundations. Unveiling the fundamental principles, pillars of American democracy. The U.S. Constitution rests upon a foundation of core principles that define its character and guide its operation. These principles, meticulously crafted by the framers, serve as the pillars upon which a stable and just government is built. Understanding these fundamental principles is essential for comprehending not only the structure of the government, but also the core values that animate American democracy. A. Limited government. Safeguarding individual liberties. One cornerstone of the Constitution is the principle of limited government. This concept stands in stark contrast to the unchecked power wielded by monarchs and tyrants throughout history. The framers, deeply suspicious of concentrated power, envisioned a government where authority was not absolute but meticulously defined and constrained. The Constitution achieves this by enumerating the specific powers granted to the federal government. This enumeration serves as a guardrail, preventing the government from overstepping its bounds and encroaching upon the liberties of the people. Furthermore, the Bill of Rights, ratified shortly after the Constitution, serves as a bulwark against government overreach. These amendments directly protect fundamental freedoms such as freedom of speech, religion, and the press. They ensure that individuals are not subject to the whims of the government, but have certain inviolable rights that cannot be infringed upon. This concept of limited government fosters a sense of individual agency and responsibility. Citizens are not merely subjects of the state, but active participants in shaping their own destinies. This emphasis on individual liberty continues to be a defining feature of American society. B. Republicanism, governance through elected representatives. The U.S. Constitution does not establish a direct democracy where every citizen participates in every decision. The vast size and diversity of the nation made such a system impractical. Instead, the document adopts the principle of republicanism, where citizens elect representatives to make decisions on their behalf. This system allows for efficient governance while still ensuring that the government remains accountable to the people. However, the framers were wary of unchecked power even within the system of elected representatives. To address this concern, the Constitution establishes a separation of powers. The legislative branch, vested in Congress, has the power to pass laws. The executive branch, led by the president, enforces those laws and carries out the functions of the federal government. The judicial branch, through the Supreme Court and lower courts, interprets the Constitution and laws, ensuring their constitutionality. This system of checks and balances prevents any one branch from becoming too powerful and allows for a healthy and dynamic interplay between them. C. Federalism, power sharing for a united nation. The United States is not a monolithic entity, but a collection of diverse states with unique needs and histories. The framers recognized that a centralized government could not effectively address these differences. Therefore, the Constitution establishes a federal system, dividing power between the national government and the individual states. The national government handles issues of national concern, such as defense, foreign policy, and interstate commerce. It also sets national standards for areas like currency and intellectual property. However, a significant portion of authority remains with the states. They are responsible for matters like education, law enforcement, and infrastructure development. This system allows for a degree of local control, tailoring policies and regulations to the specific needs of each state's citizens. Federalism also fosters innovation and experimentation. States can develop and implement different approaches to various policy issues. Successful state-level policies can then be adopted by other states or even at the national level. This laboratory of democracy concept allows for continuous improvement and adaptation to changing circumstances. The principles of limited government, republicanism, and federalism, though distinct, are interconnected and create a dynamic system of governance. Limited government protects individual liberties, republicanism ensures accountability, and federalism allows for both national unity and local autonomy. These principles continue to shape American democracy and the ongoing conversation about the role and responsibility of government in society. In the next part, we will delve deeper into the aspirations outlined in the preamble of the Constitution, exploring how these goals shape the government's purpose and its relationship with the American people. The concept of federalism, enshrined in the U.S. Constitution, stands as a cornerstone of American democracy. This system of power sharing between the national government and individual states fosters a unique balance between national unity and local autonomy. In this part, we will delve deeper into the intricacies of federalism, exploring its benefits, challenges, and ongoing evolution in the 21st century. A. Benefits of federalism, a system of checks and balances. Federalism offers several advantages that contribute to the overall effectiveness of American governance. Firstly, it allows for a degree of local control. States, closer to the people they govern, can tailor policies and regulations to address the specific needs and circumstances of their citizens. For example, educational policies can be adapted to cater to the diverse demographics and needs of different states. Similarly, infrastructure development projects can be prioritized based on the unique geographic and economic realities within each state. Secondly, federalism fosters innovation and experimentation. States serve as laboratories of democracy, where different approaches to policy issues can be tested and implemented. Successful state-level programs can then be adopted by other states or even scaled up to the national level. For instance, California's pioneering environmental regulations have influenced national environmental policy. This laboratory effect encourages continuous improvement and adaptation to changing social, economic, and technological landscapes. Thirdly, federalism prevents the concentration of power at the national level. The division of power between the federal government and the states acts as a check on the potential for tyranny. If the national government oversteps its bounds, states can act as a bulwark against such actions. Furthermore, federalism allows for a healthy competition between states, incentivizing them to create attractive business environments and efficient governance structures to attract residents and businesses. The challenges of federalism: striking a balance and addressing national concerns. Despite its advantages, federalism presents certain challenges in a complex and interconnected world. One challenge lies in striking the right balance between national and state authority. Issues like healthcare, education, and environmental protection often require a degree of national coordination while also allowing for some level of state-specific adaptation. Finding this balance necessitates ongoing negotiation and collaboration between the federal government and the states. Another challenge arises when national concerns necessitate a unified approach. Issues like national security, immigration, and interstate commerce require coordination and standardization across the states. In such cases, the federal government needs sufficient authority to address these national concerns while respecting the autonomy of states. Furthermore, economic disparities between states can create a situation where wealthier states can afford to provide higher levels of public services and infrastructure compared to less affluent states. This inequality can raise questions about the fairness and effectiveness of the federal system. Addressing these disparities may require federal policies aimed at supporting and promoting economic development in all states. C. Federalism in the 21st century, adapting to a changing landscape. The 21st century presents new challenges and opportunities for the federal system. The rise of globalization necessitates a more coordinated national response to issues like international trade and environmental protection. Technological advancements in areas like communication and transportation blur traditional state boundaries, requiring a reevaluation of how power is shared between the federal government and the states. Furthermore, the increasing diversity of the American population necessitates a federal system that is responsive to the needs of all citizens. Finding effective ways to balance national unity with local autonomy in an increasingly diverse society is a critical challenge. In conclusion, federalism remains a vital principle of American democracy. It allows for both national unity and local control, fostering innovation and safeguarding against the concentration of power. However, the system faces challenges in the 21st century. The ongoing dialogue and collaboration between the federal government and the states are crucial for maintaining a federal system that is effective, equitable, and responsive to the needs of all Americans. In the next part, we will explore the preamble of the Constitution, delving into the aspirational goals outlined by the framers. By understanding these goals, we gain a deeper understanding of the purpose and direction of the American government. The preamble's aspirations, goals for a new nation. The opening paragraph of the U.S. Constitution, known as the preamble, serves as a concise yet powerful statement of the document's core objectives. These goals, meticulously chosen by the framers, serve as a guiding light for the American government, outlining its aspirations and shaping its relationship with the American people. In this part, we will explore each of the aspirations outlined in the preamble, examining their historical context and their continued relevance in the 21st century. A. Form a more perfect union, strengthening the bonds of a fragile nation. The first stated goal in the preamble, to form a more perfect union, reflects the anxieties and aspirations present in the years following the American Revolution. The Articles of Confederation, the document governing the newly independent states, had proven to be a weak and ineffective form of government. The states operated largely independently, leading to economic instability, trade disputes, and a lack of unified national defense. The framers sought to create a stronger and more unified nation, one capable of addressing these challenges and promoting the collective well-being of the American people. The Constitution established a federal government with the authority to regulate interstate commerce, raise taxes, and maintain a national military. This stronger central government, while respecting the autonomy of the states, provided a framework for greater national unity and stability. B. Establish justice, a fair legal system for all. The pursuit of justice is another cornerstone aspiration outlined in the preamble. The framers envisioned a government that upheld the rule of law, ensuring fair treatment for all citizens. This meant establishing a system of courts that would interpret and enforce the Constitution and laws, protecting individual rights and ensuring equal justice under the law. The Bill of Rights, ratified shortly after the Constitution, further solidified the commitment to justice. These amendments enshrined fundamental rights like freedom of speech, religion, and assembly, and established a process for fair trials and due process. While the initial limitations on suffrage for women and people of color are undeniable flaws, the framework laid out in the Constitution has allowed for the continuous expansion of individual rights through amendments and Supreme Court decisions. Landmark cases like Brown v. Board of Education, 1954, demonstrate the document's capacity to adapt and address evolving notions of equality. However, the pursuit of justice remains an ongoing endeavor. Disparities in access to legal representation and the long history of racial injustice in America are challenges that continue to necessitate attention and reform. The ongoing pursuit of a just society, envisioned by the framers, remains a central goal of the American government. C. Ensure domestic tranquility, maintaining peace and order within the nation. The preamble emphasizes the goal of ensuring domestic tranquility, highlighting the importance of maintaining peace and order within the country. The framers understood that internal strife and unrest could hinder the nation's progress and prosperity. The establishment of a strong central government, with the power to maintain a national military and regulate interstate commerce, aimed to address potential sources of conflict and promote stability. However, the concept of domestic tranquility has evolved over time. Today, it encompasses not just the absence of physical violence, but also the promotion of social justice and economic opportunity. Issues like income inequality, racial tensions, and political polarization can all contribute to a sense of domestic unrest. Addressing these challenges and fostering a more inclusive and equitable society are crucial aspects of maintaining domestic tranquility in the 21st century. Building a just society. Building a just society remains a central theme woven into the fabric of the U.S. Constitution. The preamble outlines several aspirational goals that continue to shape the government's responsibilities towards its citizens. In this part, we will explore these goals in further detail, examining their historical context and their ongoing relevance in the 21st century. D. Provide for the common defense, securing the nation from external threats. The preamble emphasizes the government's responsibility to provide for the common defense. This aspect arises from the understanding that a nation cannot thrive without security from external threats. The framers, aware of the vulnerability of a newly independent nation, sought to establish a strong national defense. The Constitution grants Congress the power to declare war, raise and support armies, and provide for a navy. This emphasis on national security has remained a constant throughout American history. The structure of the government, with the commander-in-chief leading the armed forces, allows for a coordinated response to external threats. However, the concept of common defense has evolved beyond traditional warfare. Today, it encompasses national security concerns like cyber threats, terrorism, and global pandemics. The responsibility of providing for the common defense necessitates a balance between maintaining a strong military and ensuring responsible use of force. Furthermore, national security measures must be designed to protect the rights and liberties of American citizens. Promote the general welfare, investing in citizens' lives. The preamble's reference to promote the general welfare reflects the framers' recognition of the government's role in fostering the well-being of its citizens. This extends beyond national defense and encompasses a range of issues impacting the overall quality of life. While the Constitution does not explicitly enumerate these areas, it grants Congress the power to levy taxes, regulate commerce, and coin money. These powers have been used to fund various programs aimed at promoting economic growth, social welfare, and public infrastructure development. The concept of general welfare has been a source of ongoing debate throughout American history. The balance between individual responsibility and the government's role in providing social safety nets is a complex issue. However, the core principle of promoting the well-being of citizens remains a key goal of the American government. This is reflected in a wide range of programs, including Social Security, Medicare, and infrastructure projects. Secure the blessings of liberty, preserving hard-won rights. The final aspiration enshrined in the preamble is perhaps the most fundamental: to secure the blessings of liberty. The American Revolution was fought to secure liberty from British rule, and the framers understood the importance of safeguarding these hard-won freedoms. The Bill of Rights, ratified shortly after the Constitution, serves as a bulwark against government overreach, guaranteeing fundamental rights like freedom of speech, religion, and assembly. However, securing liberty is not a one-time act, but an ongoing endeavor. The expansion of individual rights through amendments and Supreme Court decisions has been a core feature of American history. Landmark cases like Brown v. Board of Education, 1954, demonstrate the document's capacity to adapt and address evolving notions of equality. Today, securing liberty encompasses not just the protection of traditional freedoms, but also issues like access to information, privacy rights in the digital age, and the right to vote without undue restrictions. Balancing national security concerns with individual liberties remains a key challenge in the 21st century. The preamble's aspirations provide a foundational framework for understanding the purpose and responsibilities of the American government. From establishing a more perfect union to promoting the general welfare and securing individual liberties, these goals continue to shape the nation's trajectory. In the next part, we will explore the concept of the elastic clause, examining how the Constitution allows for adaptation to changing circumstances while upholding its core principles. The elastic clause, adapting to a changing world. The U.S. Constitution, despite its brilliance, was drafted in a specific historical context. The framers could not have foreseen the vast technological advancements, social transformations, and global challenges that the nation would face in the centuries to come. However, they recognized the need for a system that could adapt to changing circumstances without requiring constant amendments. This foresight led to the inclusion of the Necessary and Proper Clause, also known as the Elastic Clause, within Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. A. The power to make laws necessary and proper. The Elastic Clause empowers Congress to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers, and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States, or in any department or officer thereof. In essence, this clause grants Congress the authority to enact laws that are deemed necessary and proper for fulfilling the enumerated powers of the federal government outlined in the Constitution. This seemingly simple clause has had a profound impact on American history. It has allowed the federal government to address new challenges and expand its scope of authority in areas not explicitly mentioned in the Constitution. For example, the power to regulate interstate commerce, a power explicitly granted to Congress, has been interpreted to encompass the regulation of radio and television broadcasting, the Internet, and even the stock market, areas unimaginable to the framers. B. Balancing flexibility with the rule of law. While the Elastic Clause provides flexibility, it does not grant Congress unlimited power. The Supreme Court retains the authority to review the constitutionality of laws passed under the Elastic Clause. Landmark cases like McCulloch v. Maryland, 1819, establish the principle of judicial review, ensuring that Congress's actions are consistent with the Constitution's framework. The balance between flexibility and the rule of law is crucial. The Elastic Clause allows the government to adapt to changing circumstances, but it must do so within the boundaries established by the Constitution. The ongoing dialogue between the legislative and judicial branches regarding the interpretation of the Elastic Clause ensures that the government can address new challenges while upholding the core principles enshrined in the Constitution. C. Debates and interpretations. The Elastic Clause in the 21st century. The Elastic Clause continues to be a source of debate in the 21st century. As the nation grapples with issues like climate change, cybersecurity, and income inequality, the question of the federal government's role in addressing these challenges remains a point of contention. Those advocating for a broad interpretation of the Elastic Clause argue that it allows the government to take necessary actions to promote the well-being of the nation. On the other hand, those favoring a more limited interpretation emphasize the importance of adhering to the enumerated powers outlined in the Constitution and avoiding an overreach of federal authority. The ongoing interpretation and application of the Elastic Clause reflect the Constitution's capacity to adapt while remaining true to its core principles. It is a testament to the framers' foresight in creating a framework that can accommodate the unforeseen challenges of a changing world. The Elastic Clause serves as a vital bridge between the historical specificity of the Constitution and the ever-evolving needs of the nation. It allows the American government to adapt to new challenges while upholding the core principles of limited government, individual liberty, and federalism. Understanding the Elastic Clause is essential for comprehending how the Constitution continues to shape American democracy in the 21st century. Balancing principles and goals, a continuous challenge. The U.S. Constitution establishes a framework for a government built upon a delicate balance. The principles of limited government, republicanism, and federalism coexist alongside the aspirational goals of forming a more perfect union, establishing justice, and securing individual liberties. However, striking this balance is not always straightforward. In this part, we will explore some of the inherent tensions within the Constitution and the ongoing challenges of reconciling these competing priorities. A. The balancing act, sometimes competing priorities. One of the core challenges lies in reconciling the principle of limited government with the government's responsibility to promote the well-being of its citizens. While the Constitution restricts the federal government's power, it also grants it the authority to address issues like national defense, interstate commerce, and the general welfare. The question of how much intervention is necessary and appropriate remains a point of contention. For example, ensuring national security may necessitate limitations on individual liberties, such as increased surveillance programs. Similarly, promoting the general welfare through social programs can raise concerns about government overreach and potential infringement on individual freedom. Finding the right balance between these competing priorities necessitates ongoing debate and compromise. B. The evolving landscape, new challenges and shifting interpretations. The framers could not have anticipated the vast technological advancements and social transformations that the nation would face. Issues like cybersecurity, climate change, and economic inequality present new challenges that require the government to adapt its approach. This adaptation necessitates reevaluating the balance between federal and state power, as well as the scope of the federal government's authority under the Constitution. Furthermore, the interpretation of the Constitution is not static. Supreme Court decisions play a crucial role in shaping the balance between different principles and goals. For example, landmark cases like Roe v. Wade, 1973, and Obergefell v. Hodges, 2015, expanded individual liberties, while others like McCulloch v. Maryland, 1819, solidified the federal government's authority in certain areas. These ongoing interpretations demonstrate the dynamic nature of the Constitution and the continuous need to strike a balance between competing principles. C. The role of citizen engagement, a necessary ingredient. Maintaining a well-functioning democracy requires active participation from its citizens. Understanding the principles and goals outlined in the Constitution empowers citizens to engage in informed debate and hold their elected officials accountable. Public discourse, advocacy efforts, and participation in the electoral process are all crucial for ensuring that the government remains responsive to the needs of the people. Balancing the principles and goals outlined in the Constitution is an ongoing and complex challenge. However, it is this very tension that fosters a dynamic and evolving system of government. By acknowledging these competing priorities and actively engaging in the democratic process, citizens can help ensure that the U.S. Constitution continues to serve as a beacon of liberty and a framework for a more perfect union. The U.S. Constitution, a document meticulously crafted centuries ago, continues to serve as the bedrock of American democracy. We have embarked on a comprehensive exploration of its core principles: limited government, republicanism, and federalism. We delved into the aspirational goals outlined in the preamble, from forming a more perfect union to securing the blessings of liberty. Finally, we examine the challenges of balancing these competing priorities in a constantly evolving world. However, the Constitution is not merely a collection of lofty ideals. It establishes a framework for a government with distinct branches, each playing a crucial role in translating those ideals into practice. Understanding how these branches function and interact is essential for appreciating the dynamic nature of American government. A. The cornerstone of American government, key principles and goals revisited. By revisiting the fundamental principles and goals enshrined in the Constitution, we gain a deeper appreciation for the intricate structure of the American government. The separation of powers, a cornerstone of the system, is designed to prevent any one branch from accumulating undue power. Checks and balances ensure that each branch can scrutinize and potentially restrain the actions of the others. This concept fosters a healthy tension, encouraging cooperation and compromise while safeguarding against tyranny. Limited government, emphasized in the Constitution, is reflected in the enumerated powers granted to each branch. The legislative branch does not have unchecked authority to enact any law it desires. Its power is circumscribed by the Constitution, allowing it to legislate only in specific areas like national defense, interstate commerce, and taxation. The executive branch, while vested with the authority to enforce laws, lacks the power to create them on its own. Similarly, the judicial branch cannot pass laws or directly implement them. Its role lies in interpreting existing laws and the Constitution, ensuring they align with the supreme law of the land. B. A deeper dive, exploring the branches of government. Delving deeper into the workings of these branches is a critical step in comprehending how the Constitution translates from theory to practice. The legislative branch, representing the people and enacting laws. The legislative branch, comprised of the Senate and the House of Representatives, serves as the voice of the people. Members of Congress are elected by the citizenry, ensuring that the government remains accountable to the public will. The primary function of the legislative branch is to enact laws that address national concerns. This process involves drafting bills, debating their merits, and ultimately passing them into law through a majority vote in both houses. Congress also holds the power of the purse, controlling federal spending through appropriations bills. Furthermore, it has the authority to declare war, approve treaties with foreign nations, and confirm presidential appointments. The bicameral structure of Congress, with a Senate and a House of Representatives, serves as another safeguard against the concentration of power. The Senate, with its smaller number of members elected to longer terms, can offer a more deliberative approach to lawmaking. The House of Representatives, with its larger membership and shorter terms, allows for a more dynamic and potentially responsive approach to the needs of the people. Reconciling the perspectives of these two chambers adds complexity to the legislative process, but fosters a more nuanced and balanced approach to lawmaking. The executive branch, enforcing laws and leading the nation. The executive branch, headed by the president, is responsible for carrying out the laws passed by Congress and overseeing the vast federal bureaucracy. The president acts as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, shaping national security policy and directing military operations. The president also has the power to veto legislation passed by Congress, although Congress can override a veto with a two-thirds majority vote in both houses. The executive branch plays a crucial role in foreign policy, negotiating treaties and engaging in diplomatic relations with other nations. Furthermore, the president appoints individuals to various cabinet positions and federal agencies, shaping the overall direction of federal policy implementation. The president is not a singular entity, but a complex web of advisors and departments. The cabinet, comprised of the heads of major executive departments, plays a vital role in formulating policy recommendations and overseeing the day-to-day operations of the federal government. Agencies like the Department of State, the Department of Defense, and the Department of Justice serve as the president's tools for implementing federal law and policy across a wide range of issues. The judicial branch, interpreting the Constitution and upholding the law. The judicial branch, independent of the other two branches, interprets the Constitution and laws, ensuring that the government's actions comply with the supreme law of the land. The highest court in the federal court system, the Supreme Court, has the power of judicial review, the ability to declare laws or government actions unconstitutional. Landmark Supreme Court decisions have played a significant role in shaping American society, expanding individual liberties, and defining the scope of federal power. Lower federal courts, including district courts and circuit courts of appeals, handle the bulk of the nation's legal cases, adjudicating disputes between individuals, businesses, and the government. The federal court system ensures that the law is interpreted and applied fairly and consistently across the nation. C. The intricate dance, checks and balances in action. The separation of powers and the system of checks and balances are not merely theoretical concepts. They are dynamic forces that shape the daily operation of the American government. Here are some examples of how these principles play out in real-world scenarios. Legislative oversight. Congress can exercise oversight over the executive branch through hearings, investigations, and the power of the purse. By controlling federal spending, Congress can influence the priorities and actions of the president and his administration. Executive veto. The president's veto power allows them to check the legislative agenda of Congress. If the president disagrees with a bill passed by Congress, they can veto it, forcing Congress to either revise the legislation or override the veto with a two-thirds majority vote in both houses. Judicial review. The judicial branch can declare laws passed by Congress or actions taken by the executive branch unconstitutional. This power serves as a vital check on the power of the other two branches, ensuring that they operate within the boundaries established by the Constitution. Appointment power. The president has the authority to appoint federal judges, including Supreme Court justices, subject to confirmation by the Senate. This power allows the president to shape the federal judiciary and potentially influence the interpretation of the law for years to come. However, the Senate's confirmation power acts as a check on the president's unilateral control over judicial appointments. These are just a few examples of the intricate checks and balances that permeate the American political system. No single branch has absolute power, and each branch can potentially restrain the actions of the others. This constant interplay fosters a healthy tension, encouraging cooperation and compromise while safeguarding against the concentration of power in any one branch. D. The ongoing evolution, adapting to a changing landscape. The American government is not a static entity. The Constitution, while a remarkably enduring document, has adapted to changing circumstances through amendments, Supreme Court decisions, and the evolving political landscape. New challenges necessitate a reevaluation of the balance of power between the branches and the scope of the federal government's authority. For instance, the rise of technology has presented novel legal and regulatory questions. The balance between national security concerns and individual privacy rights is a continuous point of debate, often requiring the courts to weigh competing interests in light of evolving technologies like surveillance programs and data collection practices. Furthermore, the globalized nature of the 21st century necessitates a reevaluation of the federal government's role in international affairs. Issues like climate change, international trade, and global pandemics require a degree of international cooperation, potentially necessitating an expansion of the federal government's authority in these areas. Striking a balance between effective action on these global challenges and safeguarding the core principles of federalism remains an ongoing conversation. E. Conclusion. A framework for a more perfect union. The U.S. Constitution, despite its imperfections, stands as a testament to the enduring power of democratic ideals. It provides a framework for a government that is both powerful enough to address national challenges and limited enough to safeguard individual liberties. The intricate structure of the government, with its separation of powers and checks and balances, fosters a dynamic system that can adapt to changing circumstances. The ongoing conversation about the interpretation and application of the Constitution reflects the nation's commitment to continuous improvement and the pursuit of a more perfect union. Understanding the U.S. Constitution empowers citizens to engage in informed debate about the role and responsibility of government. It allows for a critical evaluation of current policies and a proactive approach to shaping the future of American democracy. This exploration, while comprehensive, is just the beginning of a fascinating journey. Further investigation into specific amendments, landmark Supreme Court decisions, and the ongoing debates about the role of government will offer a deeper appreciation for the enduring legacy of this remarkable document.